Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to do a simple iPhone footage color grading breakdown. I've been getting a few requests on both my iPhone filmmaking kit and my iPhone 17 review video. So today I just wanted to break down in Davinci Resolve how I go about color grading my Apple Log 2 footage. It'll be a really simple breakdown and I'll show you a couple different ways that you can spice up your footage so it takes off that phone digital edge. All right, let's hop in. All right, so we've got Davinci Resolve opened up here and I've just got a clip from a recent trip to Paris loaded up. This is in the 4:3 aspect ratio. Obviously, iPhone clips aren't filmed in 4:3. You can film in either OpenGate or 4K. I just have this as a custom timeline resolution for those who like 4:3. 2880 by 2160. I've got my frame rate set. It's 29.97, which I filmed natively on the iPhone. A couple quick notes. If you go to Davinci Resolve, make sure that you're on Studio at least 20.2, I believe, which has the built-in Apple Log 2 update. And then also go to your preferences. If you go down to general, just make sure you're using 10-bit precision as well as Mac display colors. And also just automatically tag Rec 709 scene clips as Rec 709A. Just make sure your settings are somewhat similar to this. This is just my workflow. If you have any better suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Additionally, if you go to File and you go to Project Settings, just make sure under Color Management, you're in Davinci Wide RGB. And for timeline and color space, I use Davinci Wide Gamut. And then output color space, I use Rec 709A. All right, so this is how I've got my color grade, my node tree set up. And basically, let me just walk through each of these sections. But first off, obviously, when you film an Apple Log 2, you're gonna get a really gray image. And this is because you haven't color space transformed into the correct appropriate color space. And first off, I always like to have my general kind of like white balance fine-tuned settings before my CST node and then my LUT and other adjustables after that. So basically the first thing you need is a color space transform. If you go to library and just type in color space transform, you just click and drag this onto your node here. And then in your node, I just have my settings as input color space, Apple Log 2, my input gamma as Apple Log, and then my output color space, Rec 709, output gamma, Rec 709A. And once you go ahead and turn this on, you'll notice that it changes it to something much more pleasing. It's just a very base kind of like look. This is basically just getting it to base number 1. And from here, this is where you go ahead and build out your look. So immediately after I go ahead and set up a CST, I like to go ahead and put on one of my LUTs. On my website, I've got my ultimate LUT pack, which uses the same LUTs in my PowerGrade, and it's just a set of 7 LUTs that I use for all of my work. But here I'm just using my vintage LUT. It's a cube file. You basically just click and drag it onto your node here. And anytime you want to add a new node, just right click, go to add node, and then you're going to add a serial node. So you can either do it after or you can add a node before like this. But here I've just gone ahead and added my vintage LUT. It's not necessary. If you like this exact color, go ahead and download it, but it's not necessary to have. You can totally do everything else just doing the CST. Everything else is stylistic after the CST. So once I've got my basic conversion set up, now here's where I'm gonna go ahead and fine tune everything. And so the point of having different nodes built out is you can do minor adjustments and you can go back and turn off and turn on different things to see how they look. So first off in the exposure node, I'm gonna come down here to my HDR wheels, my high dynamic range wheels, and I'm just gonna adjust the exposure. And so I feel like this is a little bit underexposed at the moment. So if I go ahead and here and go to the global and I bring up my exposure, you notice we're getting a better exposure, but now the highlights are a little bit blown out. What you can go ahead and do next is go into your lights, and I just like to bring that down just a tad. So you just get it down to about here. If you press Command D, you can see before and after. We're getting a much more bumped up in the shadows look, while still retaining that overall highlight and not blowing out your highlights. And so this is kind of the first step in building your overall look, is just adjusting the overall exposure. You can bring down the shadows if you'd like. You can really kind of crush your darks. I like to do this in the curves later, but these are kind of just the general overall exposures. I like to mainly work in the HDR color wheels tab. Next in your color node is where I like to adjust the colors. And so first off, in this overall image, the shadows, due to my LUT, the shadows get really blue, but the overall image gets a bit warmer, gets a bit more lifelike. And I just want to adjust the shadows a little bit. So if I go over here to my color wheels, this is where I like to adjust my shadows. And if you go to your primary log wheels over here, you can then go to your shadows. And what I like to do is just drag this over a little bit more to the yellows, I would say. Almost reddish yellow. And so if you go before and after by compressing Command D, you can notice just the shadows here, we've gone from super blue to a little bit more yellow, a little bit more lifelike. And that's kind of the look I like. I don't necessarily like to keep everything really teal and orange. You want to keep it vibrant, but you want to keep it as lifelike as possible. And so just basically here, I've gone ahead and adjust the shadows a little bit. You can do your white balance right here. I like to do my white balance oftentimes in the color wheels. So if you go to temperature, you can really adjust it just a tad. Oftentimes, maybe just bring this up. Let me bring this up maybe 20. So we're still keeping that warm feeling, but we've adjusted mainly the shadows. You can adjust the highlights as well, the midtones, the offsets, all that. But so far, compared to what it was before, it's looking a lot better, a bit more filmic. Next up is a cheat code. This is the HSV wheel. And so HSV is basically your overall increasing sort of the density of all of your colors. The point of the HSV node is to increase the colors without making it oversaturated. Right now, obviously it's super oversaturated, but the way that you do this is in a new node, if you go to color space, make sure that you're selecting HSV. Then in your gammas, you can just use timeline. And then in channels, make sure channel 1 and channel 3 are deselected. So you're only in channel 2. Now, what this does, now if you go to your HSV and then you go to your log wheels and then you go to your basic primary color wheels, go ahead and click the gain. And as you slowly increase, you're gonna notice that your overall color density is gonna look a lot more pleasing, a lot more vibrant. And this is kind of just a cheat code here. A lot of different people use this, and the amount that you use is kind of just as a personal preference, but I like to kind of just bring this up just to a point where it's not too crazy, but you're really kind of getting a nice amount of vibrance. For this particular image, I'm thinking somewhere around 1.1. You can always adjust this later. Let's go 1.10. It's very subtle, but especially in her color tones here, her skin tones, you'll notice before, a little bit pale. Now we've brought a lot of life back into the image. And this is just a quick cheat code. Next up in color slice, this is kind of a recent addition, and I've made a whole video on the color slice tool. But if you go to color slice here, basically you can adjust any of the specific colors really quickly without having to do masks. And so if we reset this real quick here, a lot of times I like to work with these skin tones, and you can adjust what sections you're really applying this to. And so if you just keep this generally centered, and if you press Shift H, it'll turn it on and off to see what you're actually affecting. You can go ahead and either increase sort of the density of specific colors. So in this case, what I would do is I might just bring up the density just a little bit on her skin tones, but they're a little bit oversaturated. So what I would do is I would bring down the saturation just a tad. It's just a fine dance between increasing, again, your HSV and then going into color slice and really fine tuning everything. You can even adjust the hue on the skin tones here, but for this particular case, I think I might just keep it up a little bit, bring down the saturation just a tad. I might bring down the yellows just a little bit in saturation. So I've only just kind of adjusted the skin and yellow. You can also go into your blues, I guess, if you wanted to, and really adjust the density or adjust the saturation if you wanted a really blue sky. I think the blues are looking fine. You can even adjust the hue to make it, a little bit more teal if you liked. You can see here. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll adjust the teal just a little bit here. It's looking a little bit crazy. I'm just gonna tone that back just a little bit. Cool, so this is before with a LUT and just some simple adjustments. Now I'm feeling the shadows are looking a little bit green. So what I can do is just go back into color, go back to your log wheels here and adjust the shadows. I feel like that's a little bit too green. So maybe I wanna go a little bit more red. And now it's a little bit more subtle. Again, we can do a little before and after. It's looking a lot more filmic, which I like. And then finally, this is kind of the secret sauce, is your custom curves wheel. In the curves is where you can get a lot more dynamic range. And what I like to do is I like to take the shadows part and just bring this up a little bit. Each time you click along this curves line, it adjusts a point and you can be a little bit more fine tuned. But I like to bring my shadows, and basically I don't like to crush my blacks too much. And so I'll just bring this up just a little bit. This helps to kind of build that filmic look. Again, you don't want to overdo this, and you can really kind of screw up your image here in the curves if you're not too careful. But basically what we're doing is we're trying to get it to be a bit more of a natural fade into your deep blacks. So we're just gonna bring this up just a little bit. My curves oftentimes can look a little crazy, but it's just about fine tuning it. But generally, what I like to do is take my highlights And instead of having them true top right, just bring them over a little bit. Just adjust this based on your eye. And the key here is in the bottom left here, you just wanna subtly bring up those shadows just a little bit. I don't know if you can tell the difference here, but the shadows kind of have a nice fall off. Instead of just harsh black, now they've become, unfortunately, a little bit blue. Here, now you can tell it a little bit more naturally here. This is what the shadows do. So they just kind of bring the shadows to kind of, I don't know, like a muddy area, but it just makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. You can really tell this most visually here, is if you want a filmic look, just bring up your shadows just a tad. And again, this is where you're gonna really play with your other tools here. So now that you have your shadows, kind of this nice fall off, we're gonna go back into color because the shadows look a little bit blue still. And I'm just gonna increase my shadows more towards the reds, just a bit. And as you can see here, now we've got a really pleasing image. And let me just bump up my overall exposure a little bit here. Cool, so you can see kind of the before and after. Maybe it's a bit too red. Go back in your colors here, adjust the reds. And I want to do all this just to highlight that there's no like clear process. It's all kind of just whatever you like and how you like to adjust your images and how you like to get it to kind of like this nice point that's your look and your color. So again, this is our CST, and then this is with our LUT and all of our color adjustments to get it to this nice kind of dense look that also looks a bit filmic. The final node before we get into our stylistic nodes is what's called a DCTL. And real quickly, let me just delete this for you so you know what a DCTL is. A DCTL is basically a different type of lookup table. It basically helps adjust various minor things. It's basically like a custom code. I use this thing called a split tone DCTL. I've spoken about the split tone DCTL before. I'll link it down below. It's a free split tone DCTL that you can download from this creator, shout out Iridescent Color. And basically once you've loaded it, you can adjust a variety of different things. But what I like to do is I just like to increase the strength here, and I like to change the pivot a little bit, just so it's a very subtle thing that you can do to adjust. You can adjust the hue of both your shadows and highlights. You can really adjust the strength here. It's just something that kind of offsets it and adds a very pleasant split tone effect that you can add at the very end of your color grade. Sometimes I have it on, sometimes I don't. Here, just looks nice and pleasing to have this at the very end. And then the last two stylistic things that I like to add in my color grades are halation and blur. First off, halation. How you create this is go ahead and create a node and then go all the way here to glow. And all you have to do is just go ahead and increase your radius basically to the max. I think I have it at like 1.3 or something like that. Just increase your radius on your glow, and then make sure that when you right click this node, if you go down to composite mode, it's on screen. And then once your composite mode's on screen, go to your curves and adjust it somewhat similar like this. So it's just affecting the highlights. And so basically what you're doing is you're just creating a blur around the highlights to kind of mimic halation. I don't like red halation, but I do like glow and I like the look of it. So I just want this to affect kind of the rough highlights here, just to give it a little bit of glow, a little bit of fake halation to take off that digital edge. If you feel like it's too much, you can always decrease now in your glow settings, but let me go ahead and I think 1 actually is nice. It's not too overbearing. This is without, this is with. If you don't like it, you can tone it down a little bit. Just gives it a little bit of glow. You can go ahead and obviously add grain. I don't add grain on my footage because I feel like on socials, it just kind of destroys the footage, especially on iPhone footage. But if you'd like to add grain, you can go ahead and add grain here. And then finally, I like to add this radial blur very subtly on a lot of my footage. The way that you do this is, let me just reset this for you. If you go ahead and go to and search up radial blur, just click and drag this onto a node. You notice immediately that you get this crazy swirling effect. You want this to just affect the sides of your image while keeping the center intact. So if you go into your window, click the circle icon, you'll notice that the circle icon now just affects that area. Go here, click invert. And then with your circle here, you can obviously increase the size, and then you can soften the amount. If you press Shift A, you can see exactly kind of like where your mask is mainly affecting. So I want it to just affect the edges here. And then once you have that, then you'll notice that you can just affect the edges here with this nice realistic swirly bokeh effect. And you can obviously overdo this. I like to have it, I think somewhere around 3.1. and then just fine tune the mask a little bit. Sometimes I want it to, it's a little bit more prominent. This is without, and this is with. If you can notice specifically in the edges here, it just gives it a nice little blur, almost like anamorphic look, but it's a nice touch. So again, this is the CSD. This is what the Apple log footage looked like before I applied anything. And then this is kind of the final look, the before and after. This workflow is completely customizable. This isn't the end all be all. I'm sure there are a bunch of better ways to do this. If you have any recommendations, leave them down in the comments below. But I've been getting a lot of requests. So this is how I color grade my Apple log 2 footage to look filmic, to look pretty dense, pretty saturated, and to try and get rid of that iPhone edge that you get. So yeah, that's how I color grade my Apple log footage in Davinci Resolve. If you have any questions on the nodes or any specific settings that I use, feel free to leave them down below. And again, if you like the LUTs that I use in this video, PowerGrade, sound effects, they'll be linked all down below in my shop. It's a great support to the channel and I really appreciate it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave the word glow down in the comments below so that I know you're a real one. Thanks again for watching to the very end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.